allow me then to call the Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, January 6th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, will you please take the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hoagie?
Here.
Ms. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Corrado?
Here.
Mr. Depp?
Here.
Ms. Kirsten?
Here.
Ms. Howard? Ms. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Simpson? And Mr. Williamson?
We'll put it right on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. The minutes of December 2nd were mailed to every member of the board prior to today's meeting. Unless a board member requests a reading of those minutes, are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing no request for the reading of the minutes or any corrections or additions to the minutes, the record should show those minutes have been approved as submitted. Before we get into the committee reports, I believe we have a special guest here today who would like to speak before us. Let me turn it over to Mark to make the introduction.
Thank you, Franz. The Presidente of the Employee Benefit Fund, the one and only Kathy Garner, asked that I speak on behalf of the Employee Benefit Fund, of which I'm not a member of the committee, but they're the group that does great work around here. They take some of the revenue we get from the vending machine operations, and they do a lot of employee-based events. Well, every year they do a Christmas event, and each year EBF selects a local not-for-profit or charitable organization that does community good, and their goal is to help good organizations. And this year, I think they may have overachieved a little bit on the amount. I know that there was over 900 pounds of food and different items that were donated to House of Bread, and I would just really like to introduce Melody Bennett, who some of you I know Melody. She runs an incredible operation over there. If you haven't been there, you should visit. It's fascinating when you see what gets done, for the little bit of resource that is thrown Melody's way. So Melody, if you would like to use the podium.
Thank you for the very nice words. I had no idea if people were going to say such nice things about what we do. I happen to believe what we do is a pretty incredible effort. We operate 365 days a year. We serve the neediest of the needy in the Dayton community, meaning that there's no requirements to come to the House of Bread. Anyone can come, to the tune of, we just tallied up this last calendar year, and we served 122,000 free meals to people in need in our community, which we're very, very proud of on a very tight budget. The employees of RTA rallied together to help us this past Christmas season, producing over 900 pounds of food for us to use in our kitchen, to use as part of our daily lunch service, also providing us with bus tokens and providing me with countless smiles and laughs, which is a lot of fun to see a group of employees come together and want to help us. We talk a lot in this community about jobs. We talk a lot in this community about, employment and self-sufficiency, and we're fully in support of that at the House of Bread, but we serve a large majority of people who, without our help, would not be able to even meet their basic needs of food and shelter. So we very much appreciate the RTA efforts of their employees very much, and we appreciate you allowing me to come here and talk to you for just a moment.
Well, Melody, thank you. And I was introduced to Melody by an old friend of the board's, Chief Jim Newby, and an issue had come up one time. And, House of Bread is more than just meals. And the mention of bus tokens happened. And when we met, it had to do with a family that had some kids that were in transition, and the kids weren't getting to school. And Melody's the type of person that digs deep and wants to know, why aren't these kids in school? And it all came down to transportation. So, that's why the connection is made. So they do great things over there at the House of Bread. I'm really glad EBF chose to make House of Bread, their selected organization this year, and we're just glad we could do what we did, and hopefully we can do it again in the future.
That would be wonderful. Great. Okay, thank you all very much.
Melanie, thank you very much for what you and your organizations does for the most needy in this community, and thank you also to everyone of the RTA for always setting such a wonderful example of doing good for our community. You make us all very proud. Thank you. We now get into the committee reports, and the first one is the Finance and Personnel Committee. Sharon.
The Finance and Personnel the Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met on December 16th, with the Finance Personnel Committee recommending one action item for approval by the Board of Trustees. Action item number 2, purchase of 24 diesel transit buses. Due to the immediate need for transit buses, the Greater Dayton RTA has searched transit properties for available option buses. 24 buses are available through the Capital District Transportation Authority in Albany, New York. And they have tentatively agreed to assign the vehicles to the Greater Dayton RTA. These buses are needed to replace the rapidly aging New Flyer buses that have reached the end of their useful life. Failure to replace the New Flyer buses will result in increased maintenance costs. Bob Brzezinski provided a detailed explanation at our committee meeting, and the supporting information is included in your board package. Bob is available today to answer any questions the board may have. Based upon the recommendation of the Finance Personnel Committee, I move that the Board of Trustees approve a contract award to Gillick Corporation for 24 40-foot low-floor buses at a unit price of $439,938 for a total amount of $10,558,512. This procurement will be funded primarily with federal funds, no less than 80%.
Motion made by Sharon. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, second by Adrian. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? Action item number 2 is approved unanimously.
That concludes the only action item for our committee. However, for informational purposes, Robert Thomas provided a high-level document on the change in accounting and reporting for pensions being required by the Government Accounting Standards Board. This document also provided current pension funding status information. The RTA Finance Group will be actively engaging in working toward implementation of this accounting and reporting change for the year 2015. Financial statements. Mary Stanforth reported that we are on target with the budget. November monthly and year-to-date total revenues were above budget, and operating revenues were slightly below budget. In the contract services area, we have realized some savings in legal and security budget line items. Fuel and lubricants expenses are less than budgeted, and we have booked a $50,000 realized loss due to fuel hedging. The price of oil is very low, and $3 a gallon is our locked-in price per gallon. Ms. Stanford also reported that there will be a write-off of obsolete inventory parts, which will affect December's financial statements. There was also a discussion of federal and state depreciation expense reporting. State tax update. State tax amounts were not available at our meeting. However, we now know that the current month's receipts are up over 12% as compared to 2013. Sales tax collections are up nearly 5% year-to-date. The South Hub and Metro Library informational item, Mr. Brzezinski provided an update on the construction plans of the Dayton Metro Library, Miami Township branch. The library has a need for parking for their planned renovations, and they have reached out to RTA for possible land at our South Transit Center. Metro Library officials have identified .6 acres of the eastern portion of the RTA South Transit Center that they could use for parking needs and have offered $135,000 to the RTA. This is an agreeable sales price figure to the RTA, and there are plans to use the sale proceeds to invest in necessary capital improvements at the South Transit Center. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sharon. Are there any questions of Sharon? Hearing none, we'll move right on to the Planning Committee report. Janet.
Thank you. The Finance, Personnel, and Planning Committees met on December 16th, and we have no action items, but we do have some important updates to bring before you. Mr. Eckler reported on a public workshop posted by Miami Township to gather feedback from the community concerning a vision to improve the Dayton Mall area. Topics included suggestions on study service area, pedestrian amenity needs, and transportation access needs. Mr. Eckler once again reported the importance of improving safe access for all to the Dayton Mall via public transit. Mr. Eckler also reported that RTA was once again a primary sponsor of the Senior Holiday Luncheon at the Dayton Convention Center. This event is a celebration of the many contributions and legacies of our community's senior citizens. He also reported on the upcoming service improvements that will be implemented on January 25th. Highlights included a new job access service to the Procter & Gamble facility, a new senior mobility route, and scheduling adjustments to assist with on-time performance. Our marketing updates included planned highlights of the next gen promotional efforts, the RTA Rewards Program, and the Reentry Program donation and collection effort. And this concludes the report, and if there's any questions, Mr. Eckler is available to respond.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, we then move on to the Executive Director's report. Mark?
Thank you, Franz. Just a few informational items. Back on December 16th, we hosted the American Public Transit Association's Streetcar Committee. They were meeting in Cincinnati and asked if they could come up to take a look at our system. You know, people don't realize we have 124 miles of fixed guideway in Dayton, Ohio. We actually have more fixed guideway than Cleveland does. Some of the folks from APTA have been here before and well aware of some of the things we do. Some of the things they were especially interested in, and these are folks from all over North America. Our Kettering substation is one that everybody always wants to see, where we actually have a substation that's in the equivalent of a two-car garage. It looks like a two-car garage from the street, but it's a great way to kind of hide, you know, what we have back there and keep it out of sight, but still deliver the power we need. So they spent an afternoon with Gary and some other folks from our maintenance department. They took a ride on the dual mode bus as well and had a great time. So it was great to host them for the afternoon, and we got some great follow-up for them. One of the fellas, his grandfather was from Dayton, and he sent me some beautiful historic pictures, and they were transit pictures from Dayton, the old city railway, which was really great. So that was good. The second item, you might have seen a dumpster on 3rd Street. Bob's kind of kicked things into a higher gear. We're starting to get the renovation work underway that you've approved for us to embark upon. So we're pretty excited about the building upgrades that are happening and excited to see those moving forward. Bike share, we haven't talked about bike share for a little while, but just so you know, even in winter, we work on bike share. We're going to have a little update tomorrow, I think it is, at senior staff. But our planning is moving ahead at a pretty rapid pace. In fact, they even snuck a bicycle in here, I understand, that we've been using to train people on how to disassemble and assemble. We are going to be in good shape for the launch as long as we get deliveries, you know, from the Trek folks, the bicycle producers. They're also the producers of the stations. In the order we anticipate those, you may have seen a little media blurb. Bike Miami Valley, of which I'm now a board member, has engaged an executive director. It's Laura Estandia, and Laura, for people who don't know her, is kind of the leader of Up Dayton right now. She's full of juice. She hunted me down at the Ohio Coffee Company last week and said, I know we haven't met, but we need to. So she's coming over and going to take a tour of our facilities and get connected to folks in maintenance that are going to be working with the project, and John Hoff and Frank's group, who's been doing a lot of the lead work as well. So we're on schedule. We're still planning for a May launch of that service, and we're pretty gosh darn excited about it. But at some point, we'll be coming back to you with at least an informational presentation at the joint committee level, so you know what's happening there as we get closer. Last item is, yesterday we launched the next-gen vehicle. People reminded me that I seem to pick the coldest days of the year to launch things, and a few years ago it had to do with a service-related issue that was in the bitter cold, but it was out there. The bus operated yesterday. A number of us rode the bus, and as luck would have it, some people said I planned it. There was a power outage due to Dayton Power and Lights issue on Salem Avenue, so we were able to demonstrate the dual mode ability of the bus, really with no one noticing. We actually had to tell the people on the bus that we had just switched modes, and I think for them it was unusual because they're not used to that happening without the bus driver leaving the bus and causing delays. So it was a lot of fun. The bus was back out there this morning. A lot of folks wondered, would we put that beautiful bus out there in the snow? It's been out there running all day, and it's having a good start. We're excited about it. Hopefully soon we will get the fourth bus delivered and complete our training, and I look forward to the day when we have actually all four in regular revenue service, and that's the not too distant future. So the data collection technically has begun, although it'll be a while before we get it formatted into the form of reports, and once we do, we'll find a good way to start delivering the data on a regular basis. But we're very excited. I'm really excited to get the battery bus out. I think we're pretty close to the point where we may be able to do that in the next couple of weeks. So unless there are questions, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mark. I had the privilege yesterday of riding on the new bus. It was a wonderful experience, and I joked with Mark this morning. I asked him, how did the bus perform in this weather? Or do they do the way I do when I get a new car? I take the old one when it snows. But he told me, no, it wasn't kept in the garage. It was out there, and it performed very well. So wonderful. Thank you, Mark. Okay, then takes any old business to come before the board. Is there any new business to come before the board? We now have a public comment. And I believe, and forgive me, I can't read the first name, but the last name is Thompson. Please. We'll get a microphone for you. And let me just go over the rules, just to make sure you understand. You'll have 3 minutes to state whatever you want, but please start by giving your name and address, and then your time will only start. And when you have 30 seconds left, you will be so notified, and then we really would hope that you'll be finished up in 3 minutes. Okay, here's a mic which make it easier for you.
Thank you. My name is Ruby Thompson, and my address is 729 West Grand Avenue in Dayton, Ohio. And I have some concerns about the use of the Project Mobility, and if there's going to be any changes made with that. You know, like with you all getting the new buses, if it's gonna, in the future, because I'm hearing rumors about them cutting routes and, uncertainty, and, I'm just concerned because I use the Project Mobility, and I have had other people from my church and, different places that would like to use Project Mobility. So that's why I'm here, to find out if there's going to be any changes made with that.
Okay. Mark, do you want to address that?
Happy to address that, Ruby. There are no changes. If anything, my sense is Project Mobility will continue to grow in the long run. No, we don't anticipate, especially with the changes on the big bus lines. In fact, this board just a month ago authorized us to expand service in the coming year. Sometimes rumors get started for the wrong reasons, and if you ever hear anything like that again, just call one of us or stop one of us, and we'll let you know. There's certainly been a lot of movement in Project Mobility. We have a lot of people have left Project Mobility and moved up to the big bus side, and for them, that's a transition to a higher paying job. So we have had some of that. But
And see, that's why I had the concern, because
Right.
I knew a lot of them had been moving.
They are, and we've been training constantly. In fact, I think we have another class starting next Monday. So we're going to continue to monitor that. But no, the level of service is not going to be decreased.
Okay, then that's nice to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
Uh-huh.
Okay, are there any board member comments or announcements? Hearing none, there is a need for an executive session. I will then entertain a motion that we recess into executive session for the preparing for, the conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their engagement.
I move that we
Okay,
adjourn.
Adrian makes that motion.
Second.
Second by Dave. All in favor? Mary, please take the roll call.
Mr. Corrado?
Here. Yes.
Here.
Ms. Hairston?
Yes.
Ms. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Hoagie?
Yes.
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
And Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion that we reconvene in our regular session.
So motioned.
Okay, Ed, is there a second?
Second.
Mary, take the roll call, please.
Mr. Corrado?
Yes.
Mr. Depp?
Yes.
Ms. Hairston?
Yes.
Ms. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Hoagie?
Yes.
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Williamson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. On December 19th, 2014, the Greater Dayton RTA reached a tentative agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Ohio Council 8, Local 101, which represents approximately 60 clerical and support staff for a 3-year labor agreement. The membership ratified the agreement as of December 29th, 2014. I'll entertain a motion that we accept the Executive Director's recommendation that the Board accept the negotiation agreements as presented, and that he be authorized to do all things necessary to finalize, execute, implement, and administer this agreement.
I'll
Okay,
second.
moved by, second by Adrian. Okay, are there any questions or further discussion regarding this issue? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Are there any abstentions? New business item number 1 is approved unanimously. And since there's no further business to come before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
So much. Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. I don't think there's a need to hear opposing views. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everyone, yes. Get home safely and stay warm.